Topo Athletic is committed to lifelong health and better movement. Topo builds running shoes for those who get out there every day, regardless of weather, speed, energy, or mood. Their distinctive fit and feel combines instinctive human movement with modern performance and lightweight comfort to help you keep going, keep trying, and keep moving. Discover the Topo difference and step into a run experience unlike any other.
Hey everybody, happy 4th of July holiday weekend, plus tomorrow, I guess. I'm not really sure how this is all going to go, but anyway, thank you for taking the time to join us on our Fireside Chat. We're obviously having a special conversation today because we're doing it on Monday versus Tuesday, July 4th, but thank you for joining us. We're super excited to have Michelle Johnson on. She is the founder and owner of SWCHBAK, which makes neck gaiters and other apparel, and you can check them out at switchback.com, SWCHBAK.com. But more importantly, what I think is fascinating is Michelle's story, and looking forward to diving into her story of how she got started in running and just some of the things that she's been through. You may or may not have read her story on our website, but it's fascinating. Every time we talk to Michelle, I am, beyond intrigued by what she has been able to accomplish throughout her being able to then take the risk and start a company. So I've just invited Michelle to this chat. So we'll have her on here in a second. Looking forward to chatting with her. If you have questions as we go through the conversation, make sure to hit the little question mark on the bottom right-hand side. We'll get them over to Michelle as we converse with her. And there she is. Michelle, thank you for joining us on our Instagram Live Fireside Chats.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Owen won't be here with us today because he is in Death Valley getting ready to pace at Badwater. But we always open up our conversations with one question, which you probably already know, which is pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Okay. I don't really have a simple answer to this question, unfortunately. I grew up...
There's only one simple answer.
I grew up mostly in Mexico, and they put some weird stuff on their pizzas in Mexico, man. Ketchup, so would I eat it if it was there? Do I order it? No.
All right, good. I would not order it. That's the most important one. Our friend Izzy, she said hello. So, hey, Izzy, how are you? And then she is asking the question, so when is the pineapple pizza? That might be the only pineapple on pizza I will buy, is a pineapple on pizza gaiter, not actual food that you would consume.
How would people feel about you wearing a pineapple gaiter?
It's irony is what I will tell them. So, you started SWCHBAK, which I know we're gonna get into in a little bit, but I think I've told you this before. I find your story fascinating. Every time we talk, my eyes pop out of my head with some new fact you drop on us while we're chatting. And so, give us your backstory with how you got into running. Let's start there, and then we'll go through other parts of your life and the obstacles that you've had to overcome, because I think they're really inspiring stories for people who have obstacles that they need to overcome in their life as well.
Yeah. So I got into running. I was about 25 years old. So a little bit later in life. I didn't go to a traditional school, which we can talk about later on. So there wasn't, track and field or nothing like that. So I was about 25 years old, and I had fallen into some depression, was just not doing well. I think that I had hit rock bottom, and gained a lot of weight during that time. I had recently moved back to the United States after being gone for 16 years. Moved back in with my family to have some support, and decided just to start walking, just to get out and, help me mentally, and to get out and help with my fitness, and gradually started kind of jogging, and I would do the same out and back every day from where my grandfather lived. And every time I would go a little bit farther, run a little bit farther, I was like, okay, you know, I don't hate this. So it kind of evolved into running, you know, 3 miles, 4 miles. I started to lose weight. I started to feel better mentally. I realized that it helped me a lot mentally. It still does to this day. Definitely my outlet. If I don't run for a few days, my husband's like, you need to go for a run.
He's pushing you out the door.
You go. You're very grumpy. So it really helped me overcome a lot at that time with my health, mentally and physically. And so that's kind of how it started. And it's evolved quite a bit since then. It's gotten me through a lot of different humps in my life, throughout my life, at different aspects of my life. So it's always been kind of what gets me through, I guess you could say.
So, you know, you shared your story on our website. We were very proud to be able to share your story, and you're talking about how running helped you overcome some of your depression. But, you know, you've had other health obstacles, health issues. Talk a little bit about cancer and how, you know, did running play a part in working around the cancer part of your story?
Yeah. So I started running in 2009, and in 2011 got married, and about 2 months after I got married, I was diagnosed with cancer. And, you know, obviously couldn't do as much, was going through went through several surgeries, chemotherapy. And so obviously it's hard when that's, running is what gets you through certain things mentally, and you can't do it as much. I would go out and walk some, but as soon as I would start to feel better after the chemo, I'd go out and try and, you know, run a little bit, and it just helped me feel somewhat of a sense of normalcy. And right after I was told I was cancer free, or there was no evidence of cancer, I signed up for my first 5K, and I think it was just a few months after my last surgery and treatment that I ran my first 5K, and I was just super proud of myself for that. And from there on, it kind of evolved, started running half marathons, and in 2017, I was like, you know, there's got to be something else. I've already ran a marathon. What else can I do? And started getting interested in trail running. And there was an app. I don't know if people still use this app, but there was an app called Meetup. And people still use Meetup. I don't know.
We are dating ourselves. I remember that.
I went on Meetup and like looked up trail running groups, and there was one called San Diego Trail Runners, and it had just started. Like literally, I think maybe they'd had one run and maybe nobody showed up. So I reached out, and it was the founder, Eric Spin. He's like, yeah, you know, nobody's really shown up. You're the first person, come run. And I was like, okay, I'm meeting this weird guy. I don't know him. I don't know where I'm going. I really hope I don't die, you know? So I showed up to this group trail run, and I think there was 2 or 3 of us. And Eric is a really cool guy. He's one of my really good friends now, and all the people that were at those first runs were still really good friends. And he took me on this horrid route of like 2,000 feet of elevation gain, just climbing and terrible. Like, why are you taking these people on their first trail run on this horrible trail? But I kept going back every week to this group run, and the more I met people that were running trails and, you know, kind of got involved in that community and started hearing about, you know, people running 50Ks and 50 milers. And I was like, I had no idea that existed. And I was like, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now I'm hesitant to call myself an ultra runner. I think it's a weird, I don't know, but you know, I run long distances now, and it also, I think there's something to be said for, I think a lot of people that do that, like there's something from our past that makes us kind of want to continue to suffer and then like afterwards feel great, hate it, and then feel great. I don't know. We're all crazy, right? But
to say the least, you know, there's a cliche, I guess, that says you can't outrun your childhood, right? And so if we were to actually sit down and look at the things that we're doing and why we're doing them, it probably has something to do with our childhood, right? There was something that happened then, and then life happens, of course, but you know, you go through that stuff and you still look at it. So one of the things that happened during that little story you gave us was how you lit up during the part where you said after your last chemo test and you went out and ran a 5K. Like the smile came across your face big time. So when you think about your running journey, like how important was that 5K? Because it seemed important from this side of the camera, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. You know, it's a, you know, it's one of those big milestones where, and I think a lot of people when they start running, I don't know, but I think a lot of people that first 5K, that first smaller distance, just the accomplishment, and especially if it's after you've been through something that kind of made you feel like maybe you wouldn't get to do something like that, or yeah, and my husband was there and he was just like, he was so proud of me. Oh my God, it makes me want to cry, but he was so proud of me. He would, and now I'll go out and like run 50 miles and he's like, see ya, you know, like, oh, when will you be back? Like, whatever. But that 5K, man, he was so proud of me, and that it was yeah, it was really awesome. And the other thing too is through cancer and running, I've met, there's a whole group of young adult cancer survivors that are also runners. And so I was very involved with a nonprofit called Stupid Cancer, and ran several years in a row to raise funds for them. I was part of the first ever all cancer survivor Ragnar team to run Ragnar. Even our drivers were cancer survivors. So that was very cool. And it's just like, it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, nobody wants to have cancer. It sucks. But then just the people that you meet along the way that somehow in your mind makes you think that, not that it was like meant to be or worth it, because I don't think those are the words, but kind of makes you say, well, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have met these people, and I wouldn't be part of these people's lives or these groups or these fundraisers or all these other things that give me so much fulfillment in my life now.
Well, I think a large part of that comes from your mindset and being able to think about what you've gone through, and instead of going down a negative path, you're going through the positive path, right? we have a client with the Monarch Triathlon and She's Strong, Brandy Ramirez, who is a breast cancer survivor. And her event, the Monarch Triathlon, the whole point of it is to celebrate life, right? She fully does recognizes, like you, that cancer sucks. Like, you don't want anybody to go through it. But having gone through it, she wants to elevate people and be like, let's celebrate the life that we have. And I think that you have to be open to that mindset. And we've all been touched by cancer in some form or fashion. I was 22 years old when I lost my father to cancer. So he hasn't been, with us for close to 30 years at this point. And going through that, you start to see other things too about life, and you think about living it versus, what did my dad not do that he wanted to do? And so it goes back to the whole celebrate life idea. And I think that you have the right mindset behind it, right? Which is to your point, which is it doesn't feel right to say that, happy to have gone through it because it sucks, but the people you've gotten to meet and the things that you've gotten to do, which, by the way, this is why I love talking to you. I just found out that you were on the first all cancer survivor team. Like, I didn't know that previously. And we talk like every other week pretty much. So, like, your story just keeps getting better, honestly, in terms of inspiring and motivating me personally. And I know the people that are watching this. So we've talked about depression and running. We've talked about going through cancer. Another part of your story that you shared with us on our website, coming on through a car accident. And so I'd appreciate it, or I'd love for you to talk about that. And then I'm going to put those three things sort of in a nutshell after you're done to ask you questions about going through that stuff for the future.
Yeah. The car accident was, really, really hard. Not that those other things weren't, but my daughter was in the car with me, and we were hit head on by a drunk driver, which most of those stories do not end well, right? And it was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever been through. And part of it is when you're going through cancer, like, for me at least, I always had this, you have this sense of I'm fighting. You have a chance to fight, right? In this car accident, it's just so sudden. And so, like, I 100% thought I was dying. And you're just not, there's no opportunity. It just happens, right? And then the fact that my daughter was with me, and it was just terrifying, very, very terrifying. And so I broke my back in 4 places. One was to my L4, and I had broken ribs and a lung contusion. And the lung contusion, when we got hit, it knocked all the air out, and I had a lot of pain in my chest, which is why I thought I was dying. And so with the L4 fracture, not that the other ones weren't bad, but I had lost sensation to the sensation to be able to go to the bathroom. So they thought there was some spinal cord damage, because that's what happens when you injure your spinal cord in that area. And so I was laying in the hospital and unable to feel if I needed to go to the bathroom. And I just was like, no, this is not happening, right? Like, I refuse. And I told one of the nurses, I said, you need to pick me up and walk me to the toilet and sit me down and just let me sit there. And she did. And I peed. Sorry, TMI. But it was the most amazing time I ever went to the bathroom in my life, because it was a moment of like, okay, I'm like, I realized I think I'm going to be okay. Right. And I hadn't seen my daughter since the accident. So the accident happened. We got pulled out of the cars on separate sides of the car, and we were taken in separate ambulances. And she was in a different side of the hospital, and I was in another, and didn't see her for several days. until finally I got over to her room to see her. And of course, you know, at her age, and also the difference being that she completely blacked out during the accident and I did not. So which I think is a good thing. She didn't remember a lot of it. And of course she was like, I'm fine. You know, I'm like, okay. And she's like, she's got a fractured clavicle, arm, leg. And she's like, yeah, she's like eating ice cream. I'm like, so that, of course, I'm like, oh, thank God, you know?
Yeah.
And like, so super difficult for her. She was in a wheelchair for several months. And this happened during summer break, and she still went back to school, even though they were like, you don't have to come back. And she was like, no, I'm coming back. That's how she is. And for me, you know, again, it was like recovery again from something. And I'm very much like, so I went into the, you know, the neurosurgeon, and I was like, okay, look, I'm not going to do anything to injure myself more, but like, what is the most I can, like, what's the max I can do? Like, tell me what I can do, right? And so for a while, it was like nothing. You have to lay it, like, you can't move, right? But finally, it was like a little bit of PT here and there. They actually would come to our house because we're so immobile. OT, PT would come and help me and my daughter out. And then my amazing husband, who's been a caregiver for me several times now. And so it was a very difficult recovery. I would say emotionally, I don't know if I will ever recover from it. Physically, I went into the neurosurgeon after a few weeks, and he said, I can try running in 8 weeks. And I was like, because I was thinking he was going to say 8 months, right? And I'm like, that is amazing. He's like, okay, we're talking like a mile, okay?
Right, yeah.
Low mile. And you see how you feel. And the great thing about, I shouldn't say the great thing, but they had done some imaging to make sure that because it was a burst fracture, meaning my bone broke into several tiny little pieces all the way around. So they wanted to make sure it wasn't shifting, which it wasn't. I marked on my calendar 8 weeks to the day. And my friend Gomez showed up that day, and she was like, I'm going with you. And we went out for a mile slow run.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was the most amazing mile of my life.
That's awesome.
So good. So good. And so that happened in August, September, 10 months later, I ran my first 50K. And then, you know, about a couple months after that, my first 50-miler.
Amazing.
So recovery, I guess you could say, went well.
You think?
But
so like, I mean, if you think about this, right, your own story essentially has 3 parts to it, right? Some people will have to deal with depression. Some people will have to deal with cancer, and some people will have to deal with, you know, an injury, in your case, caused by a car accident. So how do you, in your mind, think that you've been able to get through 3 of these life-changing scenarios to get to where you're at today, to be looking at 50Ks and 50-milers, and then we'll talk about starting your business? Like, what is it that keeps you coming back? What is it about? Is it endurance sports that brings you back because they're freeing, or is it because of endurance sports that you're able to get through these things?
I mean, it's a little bit both. It obviously has a lot to do with your mindset, right? And I think a lot of people that, you know, if you're doing endurance sports, you have to mentally be getting yourself through when you're doing those long distances. So much of it is mental, not even like training, you can only do so much training. But when you get to a certain number of miles, it really is getting past that mentally, right? Getting yourself through. So I think a lot of it has to do with it's just how I am too. Like, I refuse to do nothing. I'm not going to sit around and just wait for this to heal and wait for, I can't. And to that point, last year I had brain surgery twice, which to me, like, I don't even bring up. I'm like, oh, that's nothing, whatever, it's fine. But same thing, I was like, what else am I gonna do? Nothing. Like, I just can't like give up, or it's just, I guess it's just not in me. I don't know. And I can't say that I've always been like this, because when I was younger, I don't think I was this strong, or I didn't realize I was this strong, because I went through a lot of stuff that, we'll say that for another conversation. I don't know at what point. I think it was when I was about 25 and I'd hit that rock bottom, that my something switched almost overnight, where I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to, be stronger and, do these things. I don't know.
For those of you that are listening on our podcast or watching it on our YouTube channel, when I say that Michelle is probably the hardest working person I have ever met, like, that is not a stretch. There are times where, she'll email us back and it'll be like, oh, I was off doing these 17 things. And it's like, it's amazing. And so when she says, I don't know how to not do things, it's like, she's not stretching the truth by any stretch of the imagination. It definitely is something there. We did have a question, Michelle, adventuring to nowhere, wanted to know what was the 50K that you did when you first came back from the car accident.
Black Mountain, which, if you're from San Diego, you know how great that one is. Everyone, it's like a love-hate relationship for everybody that runs Black Mountain 50K. It's just...
All right, so what do you love about it?
Oh, it's horrible. It's terrible. That's what we love about it.
And then what do you
hate
always
go back
it?
For more. Everyone goes back for more. So it's just, it's horrible race. Do it. Great.
In other words, it's hard and it pushes your limits, and it makes you ask yourself, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's perfect. So, we've covered your running journey, and I want to get into getting SWCHBAK started, because I think, if I'm going to guess, the running journey is kind of what launched the idea of starting this business as well. So how did you come about the idea of SWCHBAK? If at 25, that was the impetus to get you running, what was the impetus to getting SWCHBAK started?
Yeah, so SWCHBAK came about, I think, as a lot of businesses do, when you want something that you can't really find, and so you say, I'm going to make this myself. So that's kind of how SWCHBAK started. Most of us, I think, in trail running, we use, gaiters, buffs, whatever you want to call them, right? And I was kind of going through this. I have a ridiculous amount of them, and they're just like not that great. Like, either they're just like given to you randomly for free somewhere, or they fit weird, or you wash them and they have those little balls on them, or they shrink after one wash, or whatever it may be. And I'm like, none of these are that great. The other thing I noticed when I was looking at my gaiters was, like, there were no really cool patterns or colors they were kind of just, whatever, or someone had like printed their logo or whatever on it. So I started first I bought a sewing machine and YouTubed how to sew. I first wanted to convince my daughter to learn and then teach me, and she was not keen on that idea. So I learned how to sew and just started buying just like random fabrics, cheap fabrics, and teaching myself how to sew. And it was kind of disastrous at first. Even though, so I went to my friend Stephanie. She is the type of person that like hand sews her kids' Halloween costumes every year, that type, and they look perfect. Yeah. Right. So I went to her and I'm like, Stephanie, I need to learn how to sew. And she's like, what are you making? And I hold up a buff and she's like, a tube? She's like, okay. Then the other thing I didn't realize until she told me this, she's looking at the buff gaiter I brought her, and I think, I won't name the brand, but it was seamless, right? And she's like, well, this isn't even sewn. And I'm like, so how do we get the tube if it's not sewn? She goes, oh, basically what they're doing is they're telling their manufacturer to manufacture it into a tube, and then they're just snipping it. Like, it's not, they're not doing anything to this. And I'm like, oh. She's like, you still want to learn how to sew a tube? And I'm like, yes. So she taught me how to sew. And then I started researching fabrics. And right now at this point, I know so many things about fabrics and printing and dyeing and things I just never thought I would ever know anything about. Like, I didn't know there's like a sustainable way to print or dye a fabric. I had no clue about that. And we do use that sustainable method with the fabrics that we get and we print. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And it's evolved since then. And it's been about a year in the making, and been perfecting it. And it's also, it incorporates my passion, which is trail running. And so, although obviously it's a business and I have to sell, I'm not out there to like make a sale. Like, it really is, I love doing it. And I think hopefully that reflects in the product. And it's super important to me not only to have an amazing product that I stand behind, but also like to be part of the community. Like, that's why I'm here, and that's why SWCHBAK is where it is currently, because of the amazing community within running and trail running that I have. So it's I love what I do. I love the brand, and so hopefully all of that reflects in what I'm doing with it.
I think it definitely is reflected in what you've done with the business in such a short period of time. I mean, something that those of you that are listening to this conversation should know and recognize is not only is it a female-owned business, but Michelle hand sews these herself, right? This is literally the owner of the company hand stitching these before they get put in the mail package to then get mailed to you, which she does handle on her own as well. She mentioned dealing with, sustainable ways to dye fabric, which is obviously great for the environment and something we want to do. But then, she's working with, and I believe, I think the New Mexico design was with a Native American tribe that helped design it, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Correct. So all of our designs are created by different artists. And so it's not something we've pulled off the internet or like some sort of stock image. Like, these are actual people that we are supporting them as artists by purchasing their art and then putting it onto our product. So that's something that I think is super cool about it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you say it's a business and you're not here to sell things, but I'm gonna force you into selling. That's just, part of the deal that we have here. So in the little less than 6 months since you started, you now have how many designs on the website available for purchase, if you had to guess, roundabout?
It's usually anywhere between 16 and 20.
Right. So somewhere between 16 and 20 designs. People, make sure you go to switchback.com, SWCHBAK.com, and get your favorite design or favorite designs. The other part is you can sign up for Switchback's newsletter on her website as well, Michelle's website. And you just recently launched a ambassador program. Talk to us a little bit about the ambassador program and what you hope to accomplish with having people represent Switchback as a company.
So I started the ambassador program. I've gotten so many people reaching out just even before I started it, saying like, how can I help like represent the brand? How, and ambassador programs are always, such a great thing to have to get the word out there. And so we opened up this program. You just submit an application. We had to shut it down because I was getting so many applicants. Again, it's just me over here. Okay? So there's only so much I can handle, but got a really awesome group of ambassadors that, are trying out the product, talking about it, telling people what they think about it and kind of putting the word out there. Hopefully we'll be able to open it up to more people maybe for next year or down the road when I can handle a little bit more. But the ambassadors are also so awesome for me because I had people reaching out from that I didn't even know knew. Like, we have someone in New Jersey, someone up in Santa Cruz, so, and that was amazing to me. I got 2 applications from San Diego, and I have 11 people.
That's awesome.
And someone else is from somewhere else, and that to me was super cool. And it's such a wide variety of people and where they are in, in their sport or fitness or whatever they may be doing. We have from someone who has just finished their first 5K and is looking to, do more races. Someone that just started doing duathlons. We have someone who's run like 200 milers. So it's like just this great variety of people from all over the place. And I feel really, really lucky that they applied for this. It's awesome.
That's fantastic. We had a question from Adventuring to Nowhere. They asked if someone wants to submit artwork for one of your gaiters, how do they go about doing that?
That's a good question. Great question. So currently, I haven't really done so the way it works is we have where we get the fabric from, and the artists are all within one platform. So I'm not necessarily reaching out to them directly, and they're not reaching out to me directly. It's more like you go in and see what they have. So for example, the shark gaiter, I was looking for something summary, and so you go into this list of artists and you can type in shark. Anything any one of these hundreds of artists has ever done that has a shark in it will pop up, right? And then you go and you look in that artist's profile, and then you select it, and then you match it with the fabric you're wanting to use, and then that platform allows them to then send you the fabric with the print on it already, which is super nice for me because, you know, they're kind of like facilitating that correspondence with those people for you. Maybe eventually, I don't know, maybe it'd be cool to do like a contest, right? Have some people submit like some artwork, and we can then print like a custom one from, you know, you all or whoever wants to submit it. Maybe that'd be a cool thing to do in the future.
That would be awesome. And I'm kind of in the know, but I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Is there a new design gaiter that will be coming out here in the near future?
There is. You may own one.
I do own one.
This is our the California gaiter. Super excited for this. So all you proud Californians out there, this will be coming very soon. I don't have an exact timeline, but soon, and there might be potential for some pre-ordering coming up pretty soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that one.
I'm going to do the sales part since you don't want it to do the sales part. So you don't have to be a California native to purchase this. If you are running Noble Canyon, if you are running Western States at some point, if you're running Canyons Endurance at some point, if you're running the Tahoe 100 or the Tahoe 200 at some point, or any other number of races, if you're going to be riding your mountain bike through the northern part of California at some point, or you're going to be riding on the trails down in San Diego, get yourselves one of these gaiters. I learned something along the way. The bear on the California state flag is known as Monarch. So make sure you get yourself one of these California state flag representatives of Monarch the bear when Michelle puts them on the website.
Yeah.
Do we have another question? Oh, one question from Basic Pumpkin was, will you be doing holiday prints such as Halloween? Put that on your to-do list with Did I lose you? I think we lost your voice. Did we lose your voice? Volume? I think we lost your volume. Oh, she can't hear me. I think we lost your volume. That's weird. This is what happens when you do a live show. That stinks. I don't think I hit anything on my... There you go. Technology is awesome. Thankfully, Elon Musk isn't running this platform. It'd be a disaster.
So yeah, there is a we'll say yes to holidays. I'll mental note.
We'll make sure we put it on the to-do list for you and so you don't forget.
Yeah.
So Michelle, we've kept you long enough, 45 minutes. We really appreciate your time. But before we let any of our guests go, we go through sort of a rapid fire series of questions that revolve mostly around food, since that seems to be a touchy subject for people, and I'm very passionate about the food that I eat and how I eat it.
Food questions. I love food. Let's do it. I eat everything. Do you want to? Okay. Topic of food, really quick. Weirdest thing you've ever eaten, and I think I've got you beat.
Weirdest thing I've ever eaten. I was served liver as a kid, and so I ate it, and I was like, I'm done with this crap. Like, I cannot eat liver. It's a human body part in a way, right? Like, who wants to eat liver?
I lived in the jungle of Honduras, and we ate eggs that were cut out of the iguana's egg sac, and so they were still soft, and you would poke a little hole in the top and suck the egg out of the iguana eggshell.
Like iguana caviar?
Okay.
In a sense?
Yeah. Sure.
That's kind of fascinating, though. I mean, it's weird, right? By American delicacies, it's weird, but that seems fascinating. I would eat that before I'd eat liver, I'll be honest.
And iguana's egg sac?
Yeah, liver is disgusting. Like, it's so gross. That's a good question, Izzy. What's your favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
Oh, no. Isabella. Just kidding.
Oh, that's a mom's Isabella right there. Calls
Strawberry.
my first name. What was it?
Strawberry.
Strawberry?
With
Just plain
frosting.
strawberry?
Of course.
Cherry. I'm going to answer Izzy's question. Cherry is my favorite, but s'mores is a pretty good one too. No? Oreos. Are you a normal Oreo eater, or do you need to have it be double stuff?
Man, I haven't eaten an Oreo in so long. Like, man, Oreos are just good either way, but
You only get to pick one.
like a regular Oreo. Like, whatever.
I've had people tell me, oh, but you get more in a double stuff. I'm like, it's the same size package. You actually get less cookies.
On the topic of Oreo, who eats an Oreo thin? Please.
Yeah, it's not a cookie. It's a cracker.
Nonsense.
The Oreo thin is a cracker, and the Oreo cakester is not a cookie either. That is one of those like moon pie type things. Like, just stop.
Don't even. Yeah, I agree.
Candy corn. Is that a real candy, or is it earwax with sugar coating on the outside?
Oh my God, I had this discussion with somebody recently. When I was little, candy corn was the best, okay? And here's the thing for me, too. Like, I moved out of the United States when I was 9 years old. So a lot of, like, these memories I have that are just, like, triggers of, like, before my life became super, super weird are, like, things that people, like, kind of, I feel like, are, like, ugh. But I'm like, candy corn reminds me of, like, a little bit of a normal childhood for me. I won't eat it now, but it's something I thought it was just, like, the best thing in the world. But yeah, it's gross. I mean, disgusting.
It's so gross.
You're like eating a candle.
Right. You're literally eating a sugar-coated candle. Like, just stop. Like, and the fact that they're still in business 100 years later is mind-boggling. Like, so if anybody wants to start a business and doesn't think it might be successful, look at the candy corn. It's still in business. You don't get it.
Oh my God.
What about, so what about Peeps? Is that a real candy, or is that just dust covered in glitter?
Funny story. Okay, just because we're on the top, Peeps are marshmallows, right?
Supposed to be, yes.
Fun fact about me. I wish I had the magazine here. I don't have it. I used to make handcrafted artisan marshmallows that I sold for a while, and I was featured in San Diego's Best of.
No way.
Must try marshmallows. I'm in a magazine, San Diego magazine. I'll show it to you one day. But I used to make artisan marshmallows.
I'm telling you, every time I talk to you, there's something like new.
No, Peeps suck.
Peeps suck. Adventuring to Nowhere knows. Absolutely gross. We have been told more than once, this is our 63rd episode, we've been told more than once about this question, that the answer to Peeps is stale Peeps. That you should eat them stale because they'll taste better. And not for nothing, but if I wanted to eat a doorstop, I would eat a doorstop. I wouldn't wait for the Peep to get hard to eat it. Like, I don't understand this idea.
Someone has their Peeps sitting out for like 6 months after, and they're like, I'm just waiting for them to get stale because
they're going to be tasty then.
Like, what?
We'll stick to the dollar store Peeps. You got that right. We'll stay on the Easter side. So, do you know about Cadbury cream eggs? Are you a fan of Cadbury cream eggs, or can they just be thrown in the garbage?
They're messy.
They're horrible.
It's literally like sugar goo.
Yeah.
Inside a sub
weird
chocolate.
Yes. They are fucking weird. Like, it's just weird. They stop.
Oh, people are gonna hate you after this.
I'm very passionate about my food.
The Cadbury egg lovers of the world.
Trust me, we've lost the candy corn lovers. The Peep lovers have left me. The Cadbury egg lovers are gone. They're never following ever again. people want to slather pineapple on pizza, and people like Izzy want to send me pictures about it. It's terrible. It's torture. Like, nobody walks around New York City with a slice of pineapple pizza. Like, just stop it. Like, nobody's in Naples, Italy, being like, oh, can I get the margarita and put some pineapple on it?
Do they have pineapples in Italy?
They might, but they're not putting them on the pizza. That I can tell you.
Oh my goodness.
Licorice. Are you a red licorice fan or a black licorice fan, or licorice at all?
So I like black licorice, like the good stuff where it's like, this is real licorice. But I also like, a red vine now and again.
So red vines over Twizzlers then?
You know why too? Because you can use them as a straw if you want it. Just bite the ends off,
That's going to be the next business you have is like licorice for trail runners, somehow to get their
straws.
Flasks. Yeah, licorice straws. Next business for you.
And they're flasks. That's brilliant.
Yeah, see?
Gosh.
This is why you talk to people. Oh my goodness. So after a long, hard run or a hard race, what's your go-to recovery meal?
I mean, pizza's a go-to. Pizza, like, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Can. You can put pineapple on it, then you'd be deadly wrong.
There's no pineapple on it, just the pizza. Or sometimes, like a really good burger and fries with a couple beers.
So, are you a barbecue fan then? Will you eat barbecue?
I like barbecue because I didn't grow up here. And so when I came back and started eating barbecue again, I'm like, why are people eating meat doused in sugar? Like, what is weird, sugary, red? Like, why are we eating this? Like, I was not really into the barbecue sauce stuff. There's a lot of foods that most people think are normal that I just like, because I wasn't around them, I'm like, meh, so now I do enjoy good barbecue, but and my husband knows this because he does a lot of the cooking. He actually is used to do like an underground supper club. I'll show you his Instagram sometime. He's an amazing chef. But so when he does barbecue, he knows, like, for me, he usually does like a dry rub, nothing super sweet, nothing super saucy. I don't like coleslaw. It's too sweet. Why are we eating beans with sugar in them? Baked beans? Like, why are we eating, like, all this
Wait a minute.
stuff? I'm just like, but I know I'm crazy. I know it's me because it's not something I grew up with, but it's not, I don't love it. But I do like the ribs and stuff. Like, I do, but it has to be like the more vinegary sauce, or just not
Louis style or Carolina style, then, right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, for all the people that I've lost from my food issues, we've now lost the other half of people because you're yelling at them that, why are you eating candy meat? You're going to have to start a podcast called, like, Foods That Make You Go, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like seriously, contemplate these things, people.
Favorite type of M&M?
I mean, peanut, right?
Yeah, well, I'm down with peanut, but have you had either caramel or the caramel cold brew?
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
But you like that?
Yeah, the caramel cold brew I really like.
No.
Normally I don't like that stuff.
Don't.
There was a guy, I forget his name, in marketing who created horizontal segmentation, because his theory was you don't make the perfect Pepsi, you make the perfect Pepsis, because everybody has so many different tastes, and it pisses me off. Like, when I go into a grocery store and there's 40 varieties of Oreos, I'm like, why? What was wrong with the original one? It was perfect. You spin it, you dunk it. Like, you don't need the birthday cake or the red velvet or the whatever, right? And then the caramel M&M came out, and I was like, okay, cool. And then the caramel cold brew came out, and I was like, okay, cool. So I get the horizontal segmentation a little bit.
You're like being a hypocrite a little bit there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Red velvet. is that a real cake, or is it just chocolate with red food dye?
It's 100% chocolate. That's a known fact. Like, that's what red velvet is. Why are we making it red? I don't know. Also, if you take a normal piece of chocolate cake and red velvet, it's not even a good chocolate cake. It's like, why are you eating red velvet? What? Who invented this?
Yes. We are definitely starting a podcast because it's just, I have the same feeling.
I have so many things that I just like, I'm like, no, boo, no, absolutely not. But yeah, red velvet's a no way.
So which cake, what type of cake are you dying on the hill for? What's the cake you are definitely going to eat no matter what?
Oh man, okay. So this is a question because I love cake. I'm also like a huge birthday. I love birthdays so much. Like, doesn't have your birthday, his birthday, her birthday's the best. And I think part of that stems from like my growing up. We didn't really you don't celebrate birthdays in the jungle of Honduras. Okay, so there wasn't a lot of birthday celebrating going on in my life until I became an adult, and I'm like, I can do whatever I want. Like, let's celebrate birthdays. So I love cake, and like look how excited I'm getting about this.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Give me like a funfetti, like something very like, I know it sounds boring, but like a really good vanilla white on white funfetti cake. I'm all about it. However, there's a cake. I'm a very adventurous eater. And this isn't super adventurous, but there's this amazing ube cake here in San Diego. And it's like light and fluffy, and you could just like eat the entire thing.
Fantastic. Adventuring to Nowhere said he's going to bring you a red velvet cake the next time he sees you. So stop.
He's an ambassador, and he's out if you bring me red velvet.
part of your agreement. No red velvet. So if you're all in on cakes, does that mean you're all out on pie, or are you okay with pie?
I mean, pie is okay.
You love it. Pie is clearly not okay.
Oh, I have a really funny, really quick pie story. I know we have a lot of time, but I was running ABC 50 during the worst weather we've ever had in San Diego, where it poured and hailed for 40 of the 50 miles. And we're talking downpoured, okay? Horrid weather. My husband, Greg, sitting in Julian. Now, Julian is known for its apple pies. While I am out sliding down some mud hill in this rain, sitting in a little cozy, he's sitting in the Julian Apple Pie Company eating a hot apple pie with vanilla ice cream. And he's like, yeah, I was staring out the window at the weather thinking, man, it must suck for her right now. And he's like eating pie. Tells me this story when he picks me up at the finish line, and he didn't bring me any. Oh, you didn't bring any pie? Terrible. I mean,
have you gone back to that apple pie? Have you gone back to get it?
Yeah, their apple pie is amazing. Pie is good. I love some apple pie is really good. Pie is good, but like if I had my choice, cake, pie is okay. I also have I love cookies. I could go on and on about cookies.
Favorite cookie?
Oh, I'm always, if I go to one of those fancy cookie shops and they have all these crazy ones, I'll always go for first of all, if you're going to something like that, you have to try the chocolate chip. Like, you have no sense of reference if it's a good cookie shop if you go for the one that's caked and a million things on top, right? You have to try the chocolate chip cookie.
Yep.
So that's always a go-to. You got to eat a chocolate chip cookie at a cookie shop.
I'm a huge fan of oatmeal raisin. A chewy oatmeal raisin cookie. Oof.
I'm down for some oatmeal raisin.
Last question about food, and then I'll let you go. You remember circus peanuts?
I know of circus peanuts.
So you know of them, so then you don't have a
They're
first-hand.
Right?
What's that?
They're chewy, right?
Yeah, they're so for me, they're like the stuff that's the things that Amazon packs your deliveries in. They're like orange coated styrofoam. They're fucking terrible.
No
Like,
desire.
again, if you want to start a business and you're worried about success, look to the circus peanut, look to the candy corn, look to the peep. These are all terrible ideas. They've been around for what's that?
Somebody's buying them.
Right. Start the business. You've got customers out there.
Like, who's the person sitting at home just putting down some of those, what are they called?
Circus peanuts?
Circus peanut. Who's doing that?
I have no idea. I know my grandmother bought them, but that was like 50 years ago, right? Like, they're still in business. It makes no sense. Michelle, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It was great chatting with you. We're looking forward to your future success, from gaiters to apparel. Now I know you've got some tank tops out there, to your ambassador program, even though Adventuring to Nowhere is no longer a part of the team because of Red Velvet Cake. But we look forward to your success. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.